Tim W. Rago here, and welcome to another episode of Paleo Files Reviews, where we've been stomping through your screen since March. Once again, this is another filler episode because Dude Meister, he's off at a festival right now, so this is just our second little filler bit, but it's still in Jurassic June. And I'm joined by fellow Creature Obsessed.
How's it going, guys? Jurassic World Monsterverse here. Welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to the show, Paleo Files Reviews. And like Tim said, this is another filler episode for another short we're doing. Even though technically the first filler wasn't really a short, it was a movie, but still it was a short movie. Anyway, so welcome, and let's get into it.
So for this next filler bit we're doing, we are giving recognition to we journey back to a time when Disney actually gave a fuck. When Disney actually gave an ounce of a fuck, and they gave us, now everyone knows one of the best old-time Disney movies, or actually probably the best Disney movie ever made, Fantasia, which is beautifully, the whole movie around is beautifully animated, and the music, oh my god, the orchestra pieces for each little bit are... You can listen to these things all day and not get bored with it, but the bit we're focusing on is
What was the conductor's name again for that movie?
I want to say Jerry Goldsmith, but I want to say it's Jerry Goldsmith. I'm not entirely sure.
I got it here. Igor Stravinsky, I think his name is. Igor Stravinsky, yeah.
Now, what do you call it? But the bit we're focusing on out of this movie is the Rite of Spring, which, knowing, because it's Paleo Files Reviews, it's the dinosaur scene, which is 22 minutes of... And, James, you didn't believe it was hand-drawn at first. Like, you didn't believe... Like, this came out in the 40s. Like, this came out in the 1940s. And you didn't believe at first that this whole entire thing was hand-drawn.
It's not that I disbelieve it, it's just the fact that, like, I'm just amazed by how much that could be done back in the day when there was no computer animation or anything like that whatsoever, and everything was just hand-drawn, everything, and it amazes me just animated, but it's not. That's what amazes me, and there are times where my mind just refuses to believe that it's all hand drawn when it very much is, and it's like that for many other Disney movies back in the day. Like you said, when Disney gave a fuck about making movies, you know, when they wanted to entertain and movie, they made, you know, how they do so nowadays when it's all about the cash. So, but, you know, this review, you know, we could spend the whole time in this review talking about the whole movie as a whole. Like Tim said, Fantasia is quite easily probably the best Disney movie that Disney has to offer when it comes to Disney giving a fuck back in the day. But because this channel isn't the sort of channel that goes through every movie of every genre, we're only sticking to, because it's still Jurassic June, mind you, we're only 10. And of course, we had to include this because just like the rest of the film, the Rite of Spring is beautifully gorgeous in every way, from the style of animation to the soundtrack, which is hauntingly. It just has it's a very haunting musical score, and oh man, you know when you're so immersed into something, you're so invested into something that you just have so much to say on your mind all at once, but you can't get it out. That's me right now. So I'll let Tim do more of the talking from here until I can sort myself out.
Yeah, that's actually, that's the funny thing. Like when you get really excited about something and you can't, like with me being a movie fan, James knows this. I've talked about movies like for like 20 straight minutes. I've talked like about a bunch of movies for like 20 straight minutes. And with the Rite of Spring, the way this thing starts, and for those of you who have not seen it, it's on YouTube. The thing's on YouTube for free. There's so many. There's like 5 different channels that have it. But for those who don't know, like the way this thing starts is it talks about it goes into like the formation of the world millions of years ago, because you just see like all these. You just see this beautifully animated thing of volcanoes. This whole volcano scene, like it starts out with all these volcanoes erupting. And you even pointed out, James, actually, and this, I actually do agree with this. The volcanoes actually, the way they're in sync with the music when each volcano erupts. You said it was like the volcanoes are the ones conducting the music in a way, and the way the music is in sync with that that can't be true enough. That can't be true. That's true enough. That can't be any more true, is what I meant to say, sorry. Because it really, oh my god, just the whole volcano bit is, with all the different, what I really like most about this is not only is the animation smooth as all fuck, because the animation is absolutely amazing for being all hand-drawn.
Oh, yeah.
It's also the color scheme. I love the color schemes, how it kind of has this very ominous, it has this very ominous kind of mood to it. With the kind of dark, I mean, the color schemes they go, when the magma comes up, it's nice and bright, like how magma is, but then the mountains are very dark in color. The mountains are very, like, have this dark reddish and brown. And I was telling James when we were watching this, they had to have actually sat and watched a volcano go off in person, and probably did like some archival footage of it and drew it from there, because the way this was done is like that's how a volcano goes off. Like, it is so accurate to what a volcanic eruption really looks like. So I do give them like props for at least that amount of realism, kind of.
Yeah. Because like with the whole sequence, when you see the Earth forming, the formation of the planet, like anyone who knows their geological history would know, like when the Earth formed, it looked more like hell than home.
It pretty much, like, this whole opening volcano bit literally looked like hell. Like, it seriously looked like it was showing the representation of hell.
But my God, like just the volcanoes erupting in rhythm with the soundtrack in the background. Like I said, it felt like the volcanoes were conducting the soundtrack, and I have to applaud that. That was an ingenious method on their behalf of doing that. So cleverly done.
And then also, you're like, what you said with the volcanoes.
And I was going to say.
Oh, sorry.
I was going to say as well, like when you see the lava flowing, or the magma, whatever you call it, when you see it flow, like they did their research, making sure like the flow look just as real as you see when you see a volcanic eruption and the lava's flowing. The animation is just as up there with real flowing magma. Like, oh my god.
Exactly, like, that's what I mean. They had to have watched a real volcano erupt at some point and probably filmed it and to make sure they got it right. Like, they had to have at least, like, researched it a little bit. And then, like, how James Sink was saying, like, the volcanoes are the ones conducting the music in that bit. The wind is really what got it for me. With the wind swirling all over the screen. Like, that for me, when it comes to the music being conducted by the environment, the way the wind was done, I mean, yeah, I know it was being swished all over the place, but for me, I just like how that with the wind in the music, for me, were the bits that were in sync. Was for that, like the way the wind and the music. I don't know, just this whole opening with the formation of Earth was very, like, oh my god. Like we both said, this is when Disney actually gave a fuck when it came to actually making a good, fun movie. And then we see, like, the earliest, then after the Earth forms, you see, like, the earliest animals, like they do the almost like not single-celled ones, but you see like the earliest like jellyfish-looking things, and then it eventually progresses through life on Earth in the water, and then it comes to the real reason.
It's more sort of like it was more sort of like seeing single-celled life forms coming together to eventually form these multicellular organisms, and from then on you get really simple animals that over time become more complex and they get more bigger and bigger. That's the way evolution's always been. And like Tim said, you see these jellyfish-looking creatures. There was one that looked like a man-o-war, which we have all over Australia, like that everywhere. Like, you got to be careful when you're swimming. Like man-o-war, they're not jellyfish, even though they look like jellyfish. They're actually not. But they're related. They're in the same family group. So, and
well, nice to see that. Nice to see that your home island gets some recognition there. Huh? Gets a little bit of recognition there. But the main thing.
But yeah, we move on. Yeah, we move on from the formation of the Earth to when the first animals were starting to evolve, and for a minute or two, we see what life was like underwater. You know, the first backbone animals, first vertebrates and fish, which eventually, you know, crawled onto land and became the first land animals, which were amphibians, and from then on we get to the good stuff.
Yeah, the main reason why that people mainly remember this is we go into the dinosaurs, and the one thing about the dinosaurs in this segment is they're, honest to God, like, with the exception of like a few, I just love the fact though that one of the animals that they showed a tylosaur, like they showed these mosasaurs, or you said they were tylosaurs.
Yeah,
but they had these big like skinny spines on their back, and it looked like Varan. Like it so reminded me of Varan for a minute. It reminded me a lot of Varan, or Varan. You'll hear me pronounce that both ways. It reminded me of that, and then you have like these pteranodons hanging off a cliff. Now the pteranodons themselves, they actually look pretty accurate, but the thing is as great as this is, you can tell how dated this bit is, because you have pteranodons hanging upside down like bats.
That's the thing.
It's very I don't know what to say about that, to be perfectly honest with you, about a hanging pteranodon.
Yeah, but that's the thing that makes this all the more enchanting, because, like, the dinosaurs you see throughout this movie, the way they're designed, and the way their behavior was thought of and is shown here, you know, back in the day, it just goes to show how far we've come in dinosaur biology and in studying their behavior. Like, honestly, I told Tim this, like, before any of the popular dinosaur documentaries that we're very familiar with, such as Walking with Dinosaurs, for example, before any of those dinosaur documentaries came along, I honestly think that this really felt more like watching a dinosaur documentary in its own way, rather than it as part of a really epic movie.
That, you know, it honestly did feel like that, and that is the main charm that it has. It feels like an early dino doc, despite where it's from, and then it's like you just see these things acting like animals. Like, they just act like animals. They're just acting like regular animals.
I was just going to say, that's exactly my point. That's exactly what I meant. And like, it was back in the day, you know, when movie monsters were coming into being, and they were mostly dinosaurs, you know. They were mostly, and they, you know, and thanks to those sort of movies, everyone now thinks it's dinosaurs as these mindless, bloodthirsty, monstrous killers. But here, Disney did something right for. Disney did something right for once here. Well, they always did everything right back in the day here. It's like until up to like the 2010s.
Until the late 2010s, is when they fucked up. But
but like here they were doing things here, especially right here, because they saw that, oh no, these aren't monsters, these are just animals, you know, and we're going to do them, we're going to show them, present them in a way that they actually were.
And the one, and I gotta make another Toho kaiju reference in this thing, because there's the Parasaurolophus that had these big, like, sail on their, connecting their head crest to their back. They had this giant sail and this flap of skin in between, and it reminded me of Titanosaurus, pretty much. They reminded me of Titanosaurus before Titanosaurus. Wait, did Toho get design choices for that? I think so. Did they actually look at this and think, oh, maybe that would make sense for this thing? But, and the one crazy thing is the music in here. It goes from nice and peaceful, and then all of a sudden you see Dimetrodon. I love the fact that, you know, everybody back then put Dimetrodon with dinosaurs, and yet Dimetrodon lived like 30 million years before that. Like, Dimetrodon lived
60 million years before that.
Yeah, sorry about that. They lived in the Permian, so it's so interesting how back then they used to pair Dimetrodon with dinosaurs. They probably thought, fuck it, it looks like a dinosaur, so why not throw it in there? But it's so funny how Dimetrodon is a predator, and I just love how it's just shown eating fish, and then you got all these herbivores. You got Triceratops, you got Stegosaurus, you got, at the time, Brontosaurus, and then you got...
I've actually made a list here of all the dinosaurs that are in Rite of Spring. So, of course, we got Tylosaurus, we got Plesiosaurus, Pteranodon, Archaeopteryx, we got Brontosaurus, Parasaurolophus, Ornithomimus, Edmontosaurus, Plesiosaurus, Diplodocus. We've got an interesting hadrosaur as well that's unnamed, but it looks like a cross between the Parasaurolophus and the Edmontosaurus. It's got a crest-like head on it.
Oh, yeah, I know which one you're talking about. But
we got Dimetrodon, we got Triceratops, Brachiosaurus. I said Diplodocus, didn't I?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, and of course we got what really steals the show for this segment, the fight between the Tyrannosaurus and the Stegosaurus.
And you know what's crazy? When I first saw that, I could have sworn it was an allo because T-Rex is known to have 2 fingers. I mean, one would think that it was an Allosaurus because of the fact that it's got 3 fingers, but you got to remember back then, T-Rex skeletons weren't exactly fully completed, so when they were designing this thing, they gave the animal 3 fingers. But the music in this just goes, James, you pointed this out, it went from peaceful to a freaking horror movie because you just have you just have all the animals just sorry.
No, sorry, no.
No, you just have all the animals like they just all look over. We talk over each other like.
We talk over each other so much. It's not even funny.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I'm pretty sure somebody in the comments is going to be like, "Can somebody voice their opinion, please?"
Yeah, like one day, someone's going to be like, "Well, one of you shut the fuck up and let the other one finish." Fuck me.
I know, right? I'm waiting for that.
I'm pretty sure that's what we both think when we overtalk each other. I'm like, "Oh my god, shut up." But yeah, I was gonna say, I'm gonna try and. I was gonna say, yeah, we went from a tranquil setting to something that's near horror movie style.
Oh yeah, like
when it comes to the fight with.
Oh yeah, and the way the scene plays out is actually kind of crazy. How you just have like all the animals just suddenly look like everybody looks. It's not just one species; it's everybody looks to the right, and all of a sudden here comes the T-Rex, starts chasing after everybody. And is it me or did you not get like early Guanji vibes, like Guanji before Guanji when it comes to the way the Rex, like, it's 3 fingers, it's walking upright. Like, I know that's what everyone thought T-Rex looked back then, but it reminded me of Guanji for some odd reason.
No, I don't really get that same sort of energy for it. I think it was just... Nah, I didn't really feel that. I didn't really feel that same sort of energy. I think you're right.
No, but then the fight between that Rex and the Steg, Disney had like, it's kind of crazy how they had the balls to like show a Stegosaurus just getting straight up murdered. Like this thing got its neck snapped. Like this poor thing got its neck snapped, but at the same time it bitch slapped the Rex like a few times, but the Rex was like, no, I'm gonna eat you, and just snaps the poor thing's neck, and they draw out the Stegosaurus's death, like they literally show this thing taking its last moments before it dies. Like you see the tail slowly drop down, you see its eyes slowly close. Like, they draw out this poor animal's death scene before the Rex is like, okay, nothing to see here, I'm just sitting here eating. I know I just killed this guy right in front of you people, but I'm just sitting here eating. You can go back to whatever you were doing. And I don't know why, but I just had this weird moment, again with the Toho references in this, even though this is years before Toho. I just had this weird thing where it's like, if you were to pause this movie, right before the Rex starts eating the Steg, if you were to pause it, the way the Rex is positioned in front of the Steg, it looks like the plates are going down the Rex's back. I don't know why. I just, like, if you pause it at that moment, it so looked like the Rex was the one with the dorsal plates for a minute. Like, it's so... I as soon as I looked at that, I'm like, wait a minute, were the plates going down his back for a minute there? It just looked a little... So, I don't know why we're talking about dinosaurs and I'm making these Toho references, but looking at this, it looks like it for some reason.
Most of the kaiju that Toho owns are dinosaurs anyway. I mean, Baragon's a dinosaur. Rodan, well, not really a dinosaur, but he's a pterosaur, but still.
And Godzilla's a dinosaur too. And Godzilla, they say Godzilla's a dinosaur as well. And so is
Yeah,
Anguirus. You got
you
Anguirus.
said Gorosaurus, right? You said Gorosaurus, Titanosaurus. Who else is a dinosaur? Oh, Anguirus. Anguirus as well.
Anguirus is a dinosaur too.
Yep.
But it's just these little design choices that in Rite of Spring that so reminded me of that. And then, you just have like, you go from
Rite of Spring.
Huh?
Rite of Spring influenced Godzilla.
I wouldn't be surprised if it did. But
It
then
probably
it just gets sad. Then this whole segment, the ending of this segment is just, it goes from tranquil to horror movie to just sad, because then you just see all the dinosaurs die. You literally witness the extinction of the dinosaurs. And it's just, oh my god, you just see like the whole world just turns into nothing but desert. And the dinosaurs have no food, no water, and you just watch them die.
But that's that's another thing that makes not just the Rite of Spring. No, sorry. You know when I get so enticed into something, my mind's all over the place, and I start.
Are you having a sock moment? Are you having a sock moment? Eh?
I am having a sock moment, or maybe it's the Carnosaur 2 effect. Who knows? I can't believe we're naming these things after these things. Like, what the hell?
When you're a movie fanatic, why not?
Yeah, but what I love most about the sequence of the Rite of Spring is how many moods it goes from. It goes from one mood to another, and it really captivates the audience so much more, because it really gets you into it, and the mood changes. They're so sudden. They go from enchanting and tranquil to frightening, and then we get to this mood where it's really quite depressing, like when we see the extinction of the dinosaurs. They went all out with that, oh my god.
And the saddest part, the most saddest part in this already depressing bit was when you see the sauropods and the triceratops. They have their whole faces shoved in the ground, trying to soak up this lasting little tidbit of water here. And then when you look at it, they're basically just drinking mud. They literally look like they're drinking mud, trying to survive. And then they realize there's no more water around. And then you just have the herd of stegosaurs getting stuck in mud at one point, and then these ceratos come up and they start saying, "Oh, hey, look, there's free lunch over here." But it's so weird how you just see the carnivores die too. When it's when it's just wait a minute, you know how much meat there is available to you guys right now? Why are you dying? Why are you dying? You know how much meat you have in front of you right now?
That's a good point.
That part just kind of you serious? What? How are you dying? You got meat, you got all this food right in front of you. Why are you dying? Why are you playing dead here? But at the same time,
there's a lot. Oh, sorry. I was going to say, there's a lot of old-fashioned extinction theories that are put into that one scene. As a child growing up, I had a lot of vintage dinosaur encyclopedias where they proposed all sorts of theories, some plausible, some rather outlandish. And Rite of Spring took pretty much most of them and just shoved them into this one final part, starvation taking its toll, dinosaurs going cannibalistic when other prey sources of food weren't around anymore. Even though we didn't really get to see that, but I'm assuming it's sort of implied here. And starvation really took its toll, and what I like most about this as well, that it doesn't go with the the whole usual thing with the asteroid coming to Earth and killing out pretty much everything in its wake. But here it's it's an interesting theory. Like starvation, really. Maybe it was the aftermath of a asteroid strike.
You know what? I think actually by the time this came out, this was before that theory. Actually, this was before the asteroid strike. Actually, this was before that theory, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, was it?
I think this was before. I think when this came out, this was before that. Like this was before everyone thought that it was the Mount Everest-sized meteor that struck the Yucatan Peninsula.
Oh, good for me. I got some research to do later on. I'll see if I'm a little off about that, because maybe I don't really know about the whole history of these ideas of when they came into being. You know, like when they were proposed and whatnot. Because maybe. I don't know. You don't really hear a whole lot about asteroids coming to Earth back in the 1940s when it came to like dinosaur-related media or subject matter for that.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So I think this was before that. And one thing that I really do want to point, there's this joke that I got to make here while we were watching this. Archaeopteryx. James said mentioned that Archaeopteryx is in here. It's the way this thing was designed. My first thought was Microraptor when I first saw it, because all the interpretations of Microraptor look like that. Like every interpretation of Microraptor I saw looked like that. And then when James pointed out it was Archaeopteryx, I'm sitting there thinking, that's a weird looking Archaeopteryx, because Archaeopteryx literally looked like a crow with a tail. That thing looked like a small predator with feathers on it. Like. And it's so funny. It's actually so funny how this came out before everyone thought dinosaurs had feathers, and yet you see this one little feathered dude just flying around. Like, I just love how when it comes to the whole feather thing. Like, but Archaeopteryx, I think, was found in, I can't remember what year it was found, like 1890 something. I think it was found. I know it was in the 1800s.
No, earlier than that. It was found in the 1840s, I think it was.
Oh, for Archaeopteryx? I remember it was the 1800s. I just couldn't remember exactly.
They already knew that it was some kind of feathered animal, because, there's imprints of feathers all around it, all around the skeletal remains. Yeah. So from that, you instantly know, oh, this creature was feathered. It was some kind of feathery reptile, or maybe it was a bird. It was a missing link. It
pretty much was, and what's so funny is I love how the the ornithomimus in this thing, like, I love how back then everyone thought like dinosaurs were so flexible, because you see like the sauropods, their necks are flexible as shit, and then you look at the ornithomimus, their whole body moves. Their entire body moves, and it's like in real life they weren't. Some of them weren't really that flexible, like that, like almost that. Oh my god, I'm having a sock moment, because my tongue, my train of thought ground to a halt for a minute. But
overall, but I'm with you. I'm with you. Like, some of the dinosaurs, they're a little too flexible. But we're now we've now come to the knowledge that we're knowledgeable enough about this to know now that they were more stiffened than we thought. Like with most animals you see today that have a similar body appearance, or bodily appearance, whatever you call it. Like, from them you can see. And from like reconstructing the bones, the similarities, you can see like, they wouldn't have had that flexibility. It would be more stiffened.
Yeah, and I just love the fact how everyone thought that dinosaurs always walked upright. Like, a lot of them walked upright. Like, you see the paras walking upright, the ornithomimuses walk upright, the Rex walks upright. Like, that's what I think that's like the charm about retro dinosaur art, really, because the Rite of Spring is literally art. That's what I like about retro dinosaur art, is that it's like you recognize what animal they are, but at the same time it's this dated look to them, which makes them look very, it just has that nice old, I think that's like the old charm to it, is like, that's why I love retro dinosaur design so much, is because of the fact, like, what animal it is, but it just looks cool like that. It looks cool looking like this large lizard, basically, kind of thing. Like, especially with predators, like, they made them, especially with carnivores, they would always make carnivores look as reptilian as possible. Like, they would always make these things look heavily scaled, kind of like crocodiles, actually. They give them, like, these, the skin textures of, like, a crocodile mixed with a monitor lizard kind of thing. And I just crazy how the Cerratos, when I don't know what it is, the Cerratos just have my attention because I love their more reptilian. They look very reptilian, like the Rex. Well, it's a Rex, you know. You can't go wrong with a Rex is a Rex. You know what I mean? You can't really say anything about that. But the Cerratos, that little cameo, they just look so reptilian. They just have this reptilian, almost like 1 million years BC before 1 million years BC. Like they kind of. Like, it so reminded me of that. But, is there anything else, like, we should mention in this? Because I'm pretty sure, like...
I'm good for thought right now, but do you have anything else you want to comment on, or...?
Honestly, I think I pretty much said all I've wanted to say about this segment, because, you know, overall, I give this a 10. This gets a perfect 10 out of 10
a solid...
Like, this is a solid 10 out of 10.
But I thought about maybe giving it something more closer to a 9 or a 9.5. But nah, this deserves all the praise it can get. So I'm giving it a solid 10 out of 10.
What's actually crazy, this is the first, this is like the first thing of Jurassic June so far that we've given a 10 out of 10, because...
Besides Jurassic Park as well, that movie's a 10 out of 10, come on.
Oh yeah, and speaking of which, James right now speaking of Jurassic Park, he's wearing the most classic T-shirt in existence with the classic red, yellow, and black with white lettering Jurassic Park shirt right at the moment to commemorate these animals, which why the hell not? But anyways, we hope y'all enjoyed this. And anybody who, before I go any further, anyone who has not seen the Rite of Spring yet, definitely do yourself a favor and go on YouTube and watch that. It's 22 minutes long, but it's probably the best 22 minutes you're gonna have all day, probably, because it's a gorgeous piece of animation. The soundtrack is, I mean, Igor, what was the dude's name? Igor what now? Igor
Stravinsky. By the way, what was when I asked you the same question, you said someone else's name. Who was it?
I thought it was Jerry Goldsmith for a minute. I thought it was Jerry Goldsmith. I didn't think it was.
Is he a composer as well? I've never heard of him.
Yeah, he does. He has. I can't really remember which movies he's done, but Jerry Goldsmith has done. He's done a lot.
But
he's a well-known composer as well. I thought it was him, to be honest. I thought it was that dude, but no, it's not. But
it's this guy called Igor Stravinsky.
Anyone who has not watched, I mean, if you want to watch like the whole of Fantasia, which is like an hour and 50 minutes long, it's a long ass movie. But if you want to watch like all of it, go right ahead. But for anyone who is a dinosaur fanatic like James and I and Dudemeister are, just watch this part. Just watch this segment of dinosaurs just being them. And then there's the depressing extinction scene, but what do you call it?
You can, if you want, you guys can skip that part if you want. You can just, if you want to skip that part, I would suggest just watching it up to when the Rex kills the Stego.
Yeah, because right after that is when the extinction starts happening. But yeah, we hope you all enjoyed this. Once again, this short little filler review here. Please be sure to like, share, and consider subscribing. Also, the names of James and my new Instagram and James' Instagram will be in the description below here. Megalania 2023 and
Jurassic World Monsterverse 2.
And so yeah, we will see you. Peace out, everybody. We will see you all in the next Jurassic June filler review here.
Peace out, guys.